What's up, everybody? This is John, and today I'm going to be talking about Ryan Holiday's new book called Conspiracy: Peter Thiel, Hulk Hogan, Gawker, and the Anatomy of Intrigue. Now, I really enjoyed this book. I am a big Ryan Holiday fan. I love all his previous writings. You might be familiar with Ego is the Enemy, The Obstacle is the Way, Perennial Seller, I think came out last year, and it was very good. So I went into this one with really high expectations, and it absolutely delivered. Ryan is a great storyteller, and this is a larger-than-life, crazy story. So the stars aligned for this one, definitely, and I'd like to get into a few details as to why I really enjoyed this one, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Now, chances are, if you were on the internet anywhere from the early 2000s-ish to up to 2016, chances are you've heard of or have visited Gawker.com. Now, Gawker was invented, conceptualized by Nick Denton, and he almost revolutionized the way that we see blogs and how they are run and formatted today. He did things like prioritizing and incentivized writers' page views rather than people's journalistic output. That in turn made Gawker.com a place where the clickbait and the crazy headlines would dominate, and they were seen as these misfit group of journalists or writers who didn't really fit in anywhere else because they were publishing things essentially that nobody else would publish. And that served Gawker very well for a number of years. They got crazy amounts of attention, crazy amounts of site traffic, which is how you make money on the internet. And Nick Denton was riding high for a very long time while still pushing the envelope a whole lot. They would tend to publish very risque, over the top, and probably questionable things. You know, celebrity nude photos, even a private female's tape of her having intercourse on a bathroom floor. This was one of the more egregious and crazy things that Gawker did that were just pushed the line and was not okay whatsoever. So they tended to get in a bit of trouble almost on a regular basis. People frequently threatened to sue them, and they had filed lawsuits against them. But the issue with Gawker was always that the people that they offended would never really continue to follow through and push through with litigations or whatever it might be. So circle back to Peter Thiel, who you might know as one of the earliest investors in Facebook. He was a co-founder of PayPal, made massive amounts of money with both of those, and is a Silicon Valley investor who is this crazy multi-billionaire. So he one day finds himself as a headline on Gawker.com. It's something along the lines of Peter Thiel is really gay, people. It was not a very well-kept secret that he was a gay man, but it was not official. He wasn't publicly out to anybody at the time. And so when Gawker published that article, Peter Thiel stumbled upon it, heard about it, and was pretty pissed off about it, as anybody else would be. Obviously, he was very upset about it, but he didn't really do anything with that information right away. He kind of sat on it for a bit. And he was approached by this guy, and this is where the conspiracy title comes into play. Ryan Holiday, the author, he dubs him Mr. A, because he talked to them under the source of anonymity. And Mr. A, this young kid, sits with Peter Thiel and basically talks to him about taking Gawker down. And so, very long story short, Mr. A, Peter Thiel, a lawyer, and a few other of this very small group of people sit on this information for a while and plan this conspiracy, essentially, to take down Gawker. They come up with this whole list of ways that they could take them down. So Peter Thiel was looking for these sideways, these legal ways that Gawker could get in trouble, maybe tax evasion or something crazy like that. And so for years and years, Peter Thiel, Mr. A, and this group sat on it, were basically waiting for their shot. So down the road, here comes Hulk Hogan. Now, he obviously is a famous wrestler, but around this time, like 2012, 11-ish, he divorced with his wife. He lost a ton of his assets. He was in a really bad place, and so he knew and was friends with this DJ named Bubba the Love Sponge, real name, legal name. Bubba propositioned him to have sex with his wife. Hulk was in a really bad place, and for one reason or another, he obliged and took him up on the offer. What he did not know was that somewhere in the room, there was a little camera recording him doing the act to Bubba the Love Sponge's wife. So skipping ahead a few beats, Gawker finds in their email, their tips email that they get, this full 30-minute Hulk Hogan sex tape. And it's not something they're unfamiliar with. Like I said, they've published salacious things in the past, and they probably made the biggest mistake of their life by publishing this highlight reel, they called it, of the Hulk Hogan sex tape. Now, Hogan was obviously very furious about this one too, and Peter Thiel and Mr. A and that whole group saw something in Hogan's story, because Hogan was looking to fight. He really wanted to push back on this. He was unlike some others where he just really had some sort of reputation to uphold, and he pushed and pushed for this. And so Peter Thiel and the conspiracy group connected with Hulk Hogan to take up this case and go after Gawker. And after that, what ensues is this crazy legal battle and this back and forth between Peter Thiel and the conspiracy group and Hulk Hogan and Nick Denton and Gawker. And probably my favorite part about this book, other than just the otherworldly, crazy, nuts story that it is, I found myself bouncing between the parties and trying to pick out somebody that I really wanted to root for, and somebody who was the good guy and the bad guy, whatever it might be. But probably 5 or 6 times throughout the book, I changed my mind on that. I thought some people were in the right at certain times, and then some people I was like, wait, no, that's crazy. You shouldn't be doing that. Moral issues, legal issues, all sorts of things that really had me conflicted, and was really cool about the book because I couldn't really pick out who was the hero in the story, and I don't think at the end there really were any. It was a lot of gray area, a lot of different opinions and perspectives, but again, that's what I really loved about the book. And Ryan Holiday clearly had access to the key players within this story. He had interviews directly with Peter Thiel, with Mr. A, with Nick Denton, and some of the Gawker team. He was a guy in the room as this was being told to him, which was a really crazy perspective, and I think lended a lot of legitimacy to the story instead of just telling it from afar. And one of the other really cool things that I found about this book is that Holiday traditionally likes to write about stoicism and history and really timeless ideals. And so throughout this case, obviously this is a modern conspiracy that happened in the internet age, but he compares it to past conspiracies, whether in past governments or empires and civilizations and their rulers, and how these people have gotten taken down and gotten conspired against in the past, and the relationships between these conspiracies, and how in history essentially we need conspiracies to make things change for better or for worse, and sometimes the ways that we traditionally go about doing things just don't get shit done. So it's a crazy story, and clearly I can talk about this forever, and I have a lot of awesome, just general good opinions about the book, but I don't want to totally give away the ending, even though if you followed the news, the last couple of years, you probably know exactly what happened, but that doesn't or shouldn't deter you from the book. I followed along with this case as it was happening. I watched the trial online. There's a Netflix documentary about it, kind of about that and other things that I watched, and I still found a lot of value in this book. So if you want a crazy nonfiction story about pop culture and the internet age and a debate on free speech and what should be okay for us to talk about on the internet and what is really should be remaining in the private domain, I highly recommend you check out Conspiracy by Ryan Holiday. It's a great book, and I couldn't recommend it more. So if you've checked out this book, let me know if you have the same opinions, if you disliked it, if you haven't read it yet. If you want to talk about it a little bit more, let me know. But I think that's it for now, and I'll see you soon.